If you're over 70 and still driving in Australia, you need to hear this right now because starting from October 18th, some massive changes are rolling out across the country that could seriously affect your ability to stay on the road. These aren't minor tweaks to the system, these are fundamental shifts in how senior drivers are assessed and monitored, and depending on which state you call home, you could be facing completely different requirements than your mate living just across the border. The rules have changed, the timelines have changed, and if you're not prepared, you could find yourself without a valid license before you even realize what's happened. Before we dive into exactly what's changing in every single state and territory, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're constantly updating you on the latest road rules, licensing changes, and everything you need to know to stay legal and safe on Australian roads. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up in the next few months. So let's talk about what's actually happening here. For years, Australia has had this patchwork system where each state does its own thing when it comes to older drivers, and frankly, it's been confusing as hell. Some states have been strict, others more relaxed, and there's been this ongoing debate about whether we're doing enough to ensure road safety while also respecting the independence and dignity of our senior citizens. The changes coming into effect on October 18th are the result of years of research, consultation, and let's be honest, political pressure from all sides of this argument. Transport authorities across the country have been looking at crash statistics, international best practices, and feedback from both seniors and their families, and they've decided it's time for a major overhaul. Let's start with New South Wales because this is where some of the most significant changes are happening. If you're a New South Wales driver over 70, you've probably been used to the annual medical assessment requirement, but from October 18th, that's changing dramatically. The state is now implementing a tiered system based on your actual age and medical history. Drivers aged 70 to 75 will now only need medical assessments every 2 years instead of annually, which is great news for many people who've been frustrated by the constant trips to the doctor. However, and this is crucial, once you hit 75, you're going to be facing more frequent checks, and these aren't just your standard medical forms anymore. The new assessments include cognitive function tests that are far more comprehensive than what we've seen before. These tests will evaluate your reaction times, decision-making abilities, and your capacity to handle complex traffic situations. The state government has also introduced mandatory reporting requirements for doctors, meaning if your GP has concerns about your fitness to drive, they're now legally obligated to report this to Transport for NSW within a specific timeframe. Victoria is taking a slightly different approach, and if you're driving in this state, you need to pay close attention because the changes here are substantial. Victorian drivers over 70 have traditionally had some of the most relaxed requirements in the country, but that's about to change dramatically from October 18th. The state is introducing what they are calling a graduated licensing system for seniors, which means your license type might actually change based on your assessment results. Instead of the simple pass or fail system we've had before, you could end up with restrictions on your license such as no night driving, no freeway driving, or limits on how far you can travel from your home address. Victoria is also implementing a new practical driving assessment that will be mandatory for all drivers over 75 every 3 years. This isn't just a drive around the block with an instructor, this is a comprehensive on-road test that evaluates everything from your parking skills to your ability to navigate roundabouts, merge safely, and respond to unexpected situations. The Victorian government has made it clear that these changes are about keeping everyone safe, but they've also committed to providing support services for seniors who might need help with alternative transport options. Queensland is going in yet another direction, and honestly, this might be the most controversial change of all. From October 18th, Queensland drivers aged 70 and over will be required to complete an online cognitive assessment every single year. Yes, you read that right, online. The state government has partnered with a tech company to develop what they are calling the DriverWare assessment system, which you'll need to complete from home using a computer or tablet. This assessment tests your memory, processing speed, and attention span, and you'll need to pass it before your license can be renewed. Now, There's already been massive pushback from seniors groups who argue that not everyone in that age group is comfortable with technology, and forcing people to use computers just to keep their license is discriminatory. Queensland Transport has responded by saying they'll provide assistance centres where people can get help completing the assessment, but you'll still need to do it digitally. On top of this online requirement, Queensland is also introducing more frequent medical assessments, with drivers over 80 now needing to see their doctor every 6 months instead of annually. South Australia is implementing what might be the most balanced approach of all the states. From October 18, South Australian drivers over 70 will enter a new assessment pathway that focuses on individual risk factors rather than just age. This means your driving record over the past 5 years will be taken into account, so if you've had multiple accidents or serious traffic violations, you'll face more stringent testing requirements regardless of your age. The state is also introducing a voluntary coaching program where seniors can work with professional driving instructors to identify and address any skills that might be declining. What's interesting about South Australia's approach is that they are offering incentives for people who complete this voluntary training, including discounts on license renewal fees and even reduced car insurance premiums through participating insurers. However, don't think South Australia is going soft on this issue. Drivers over 80 will still need annual medical assessments, and the state is introducing random on-road assessments where transport officers can require you to complete a driving test if they have concerns about your abilities. Western Australia is taking the technology route similar to Queensland but with some key differences. From October 18, WA drivers over 70 will need to use a smartphone app to complete monthly check-ins that monitor their driving patterns. This app uses your phone's sensors to detect things like harsh braking, rapid acceleration, and erratic steering, and if the system flags concerning patterns, you'll be required to attend an assessment centre for further evaluation. The state government argues this is a more objective way to assess driving ability than simply relying on age-based testing, but privacy advocates are already raising concerns about the data collection and how this information might be used. Western Australia is also increasing the frequency of medical assessments, with drivers over 75 now needing to provide medical clearance every year, and those over 80 needing it every 6 months. Tasmania, the Northern Territory, and the ACT are implementing their own variations on these themes. Tasmania is introducing a peer assessment program where experienced older drivers can volunteer to help others improve their skills, though mandatory medical assessments are also being increased from October 18. The Northern Territory, dealing with vast distances and limited public transport, is focusing more on medical assessments and less on practical testing, recognizing that taking away someone's license in the territory can be particularly isolating. The ACT is introducing a comprehensive review system where every driver over 70 will have their complete driving history evaluated, including any near misses or incidents that didn't result in formal charges. What's clear across all these changes is that Australia is grappling with a fundamental challenge. Our population is aging, we have more people driving into their 80s and 90s than ever before, and while most senior drivers are perfectly safe on the roads, there are legitimate concerns about making sure everyone behind the wheel has the physical and cognitive abilities to drive safely. These new rules coming in on October 18 represent a major shift in how we balance safety, independence, and fairness. If you're affected by these changes, my advice is simple: don't wait until your license is up for renewal to find out what you need to do. Contact your state's transport authority now, understand exactly what assessments you'll need to complete, and if you have any concerns about passing these tests, consider getting a professional driving assessment done voluntarily so you know where you stand. The last thing you want is to be caught off guard and suddenly find yourself without the ability to drive. Stay informed, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay safe out there on our roads.